Good afternoon, folks. This is my main peeves for the Mark 7.5 Golf R. In my opinion, it is actually still the best Golf R to buy, not the new one. I don't care what the motor journalists say, you know, the new one's got drift mode and a bit more horsepower and blah, 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 blah. The fact is, I'm not going to be using 99.9% of any of the new stuff. And I still like my buttons, you know, on the steering column here, rather than those stupid haptic touch things where you just brush them and suddenly you're in a different mode playing a different radio station. I'd rather have my buttons. If I press them, they do what they want. If I rub them, nothing changes. So I'd rather stick with my buttons. But this is a little overview of my life with this Golf R. And it is the Mark 7.5. And yeah, the new one's got more power. It's up slightly on power, not a great deal. It's certainly not up on power on this, because this has a stage 2 Unitronic tune on the ECU and a stage 1 TCU tune. Or it was, well, I guess it wasn't a stage because it's been old now. I guess it was the only tune they had at Unitronic when I bought that tune. The mods I've done to this are very basic, actually. It's got a downpipe on it. It's got an ECS tuning, inlet pipe, silicon inlet pipe. It's got the same airbox. It's got an 034 Motorsports turbo elbow, same turbo, and a catch can. And that's really about it. But right now, let me just turn this off. I'm at, I don't know whether you can see there, 49,498 miles on the little Golf picture there. So I've had the tune on this now for about 30,000 miles. And I've got to tell you, I've actually not had any issues with the tune on this car at all, and reliability. It's been absolutely fantastic, and really, honestly, it's the way this car should have come all along. So anyway, so you can see my average MPG is 25.9. Admittedly, I'm in normal mode. I'm not driving around in sports mode. Or I should say race mode. I'm a normal driver, I guess, in that respect. But let's talk about this Golf R Mark 7.5 experience. And I gotta say, out of all the cars I've owned, this is perhaps the most used and the best car I've actually owned. And it's had absolutely no, touch wood on my forehead, no reliability issues. It in fact doesn't even squeak. I mean, it hasn't nary had a rattle. And as you can see here, I mean, I've got the dog bed in the back and some bird seed. It's reliable, functional, and it's fun. Yeah, okay, I got the DSG gearbox. I am from Britain. I'm used to rowing my own box and grew up rowing my own boxes. But I do like the convenience of the DSG, and I like the speed of the DSG if I do want to have a play. You can't really beat it for speed. And it doesn't really, for me, detract from the driving experience, because I'm an old bastard now and I've been rowing my own gears for many years, and to be quite honest, it's fun but not really necessary. Kind of like drift mode in the new ones, not really necessary. But let's talk about my number one pet peeve on this car, and it happens right in here. My number one pet peeve on this car is this. Let me turn my lights on real quick and let me zoom in a bit more. Are you ready for this? I'm going to put the high beams on. There it is. There's my high beam. The indicator light for the high beam is actually an icon on your digital screen. So it doesn't really stand out, and at night it just kind of blends in. So sometimes you forget you're blinding people, and they'll flash you with their high beams, and you're suddenly thinking, well, why the hell are they flashing me? And then you go, oh crap, I've got my high beams on, I'm an idiot. So that is it's stupid, but it's my number one pet peeve of the Mark 7.5 Golf R. It is that, right there, that bloody blue icon, because it's not lit up the top here in this panel as an actual light that kind of glows. So you kind of lose it in amongst all the other data in your brain. Well, I do anyway. I don't know if anybody else has suffered that in that respect. The other pet peeve I have too, there is another, is to get the mileage of the car. And I've farted around in here, you know, gone to assist systems, driving data, gone down inside here, you know, all of this stuff, gone through here, blah, 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 blah. You know, oh, distance, oh, maybe my mileage is in there. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Pardon?
Oh, there we go. End.
You can say, enter address or call, followed by a contact.
Exit.
Please say the state in United States.
There's perhaps my second pet peeve. Let me just get rid of her. But anyway, so the driving data doesn't contain the actual mileage of the car. So in order to get the mileage of the car, and this is no real big deal, I'm with this car, it's so good, I'm clutching at straws. So you have to turn the car off, and then it will tell you how many miles you've got. And then when you turn the car back on, see, that's where the high beam should be, in there in the top there. The high beam indicator, you get obviously your driver welcome there. So anyway, that is actually my number one pet peeve with this car. It's the icon that you get for your high beam, because you dazzle people and you don't know you're doing it sometimes, because the lights are that good on this car. Let me just scroll back over to where I usually keep it, which is just in the nav screen. And then it will shrink the dials at some point. There we go. This car came fully loaded. It was quite expensive, with everything all said and done, because I had torque vectoring and everything I could wedge into this car got bought on this car. So it's got lane assist, parking sensors, everything you can think of with this car. It didn't come with a sunroof, unfortunately. You don't get a sunroof in the US like they do in Europe and the UK, but no big deal, less to go wrong. I have a love-hate relationship with sunroofs anyway, like a couple of other vehicles I own. Yes, anyway, we'll go back to the Golf. I do love Sandy. Sandy's superb. I do like this car so much. But anyway, we're talking about the Golf. Oh, and there you see the crack in the windshield. So I do have a crack in this windshield that I've got to fix. The other thing the motoring journalists talk about is piano black. And I don't know what it is with their fascination. They're fantasizing about fingerprints over the piano black. Well, this car hasn't been cleaned in a while, as you can see. Look how much crap is in here. And fingerprints on the display. Here's the piano black. Fingerprints, no. Fingerprints around the surround, no. Fingerprints, no. Fingerprints over here, no fingerprints over there. These idiot journalists, alright, I'm not going to name them because there's quite a few of them online, who don't really have a car for very long, would always say, oh, piano black attracts fingerprints. Well, it doesn't really attract fingerprints. What it does attract, especially if you've got a dog, is dust. It gets quite dusty, which is why I've got a microfiber cloth in here. So no, I'm not going around fingering the edges of the display. I'm not kind of going along here and going, oh, look at the fingerprints. Oh, the fingerprints. It's got fingerprints over everything. Well, no. You're only interacting and interfacing with the dials, the buttons, the switches and the knobs and the touchscreen. So you don't really get fingerprints over the piano black, but what it does do is it's really good at attracting dust. So you have to keep your car quite dust clean. But that's an absolute load of rubbish, that it's a fingerprint magnet, because you're not really interacting with any of the piano black around the vents and so forth. The other thing this had to happen was there was a recall on the shift knob on these, and I don't know what happened, but they changed the shift knob. I had no problem with my old shift knob, but I guess this is a replacement, and I guess something to do with this paneling would come off and somebody got their hand cut. I don't know, I'm just going from what I've heard. I guess there was a sharp piece and somebody was changing gear and cut their hand. So this was a recall. That's it. Everything else in here is completely 100% normal with 50,000 miles on it. And like I said, this car has a tune. So my my upgrades to this are a downpipe, an air intake pipe, which is ECS tuning. It's got the standard air filter in it right now because we're in the summer. In the winter time, I put just a K&N, I hate to say it, but a K&N air filter in for the winter when there's not as much dust and pollen blowing around in the air. It's got the ECU TCU tune, so it makes a lot more horsepower and it's quick, certainly much quicker. In fact, they should come with that kind of, I think, tune. So right now this car puts out, last time I was at Waterfest and got it on the dyno, it was 446 horsepower, I want to say. 446 horsepower with its tune and its updates. I will say this though, if you're going to do that tune, make sure you do a good service on your rear clutch packs. There's a filter and oil in there that if you're going to be launching this thing, you better be cleaning that bloody filter out, replacing it, and doing an oil change on your clutch packs, because you're going to fuck them up if you don't do that, okay? But that's about it really on this car. It's been fantastic. No reliability issues whatsoever. The other upgrade I did was these paddle shifters. Just nice if I'm doing some spirited driving, which isn't a great deal these days with the New Jersey police floating around. I've been on holiday with this with 4 adults. So we've had 4 large adults in this vehicle with all the luggage. Admittedly, the back shelf was off there and luggage was piled up to the roof liner, so I couldn't see out the back window. But we managed it with enough luggage to go away for a week. So we drove about 400, 500 miles with 4 people in, loaded to the top with luggage, and this thing never missed a beat. One thing I do notice though is, you know, it's got 7 speeds in the auto box, and if you are on a motorway or a interstate, it can, depending on your speed and your RPMs, it can hunt a little bit. It sometimes it doesn't quite know what gear to get in. It will go into 7th, then it will drop into 6th, then it will go into 7th, then it will go into 6th, and that can get kind of annoying sometimes. So typically I just throw it into sport mode and then just paddle shift the bloody thing, so I'm controlling what gear it's in, so I don't allow it to do its own gearing. Other than that, this car's been fantastic, but that is my number 1 pet peeve, and it's a real nitpicker. It's that bloody high beam indicator light. So that is my only really pet peeve of this vehicle. It's been 100% reliable. It's got almost 50,000 miles on it, not a squeak. About 30,000 miles of tunes on this, completely reliable. I just do regular oil changes every 5,000. I use liquid moly. I think there's a video I posted online. And that's really about it, folks. What I would say is, if you want to save some money, sorry Volkswagen, I wouldn't buy a new Golf R. First of all, I don't like the look of them. They look stupid. I don't know what they did with the front lights there. They look kind of weird. They look almost like Simon Cowell now. You know, its face looks a little bit droopy. It's had a bit too much work done in it. You know what I mean? So I would say your best bang for the buck is the Mark 7.5 Golf R. It's reliable, it's fast, it's enjoyable, it will get you where you need to go, you can have some fun in it. Admittedly, you can't drift and wheel spin and burn your tyres out, but I'm not into that anyway at my age. I want something that's go down the road, going to stick to the road well, that can have some fun in the twisties with, play with a couple of Mustangs if I want to, put the breeze up some of them even, with its massively quick acceleration. And then I can, you know, lob 4 adults in and the dog and drive off into the woods and have no problem. Oh, the other upgrade I did to this was I put the Golf All-Track belly pan underneath it, because I did incur some damage on the bottom of the sump on this. It's a plastic sump. It's a fiber reinforced plastic sump pan. And I did do some scarring on the sump pan as well as the filler plug. So I put a new filler plug in there, sanded off some of the rough stuff of the pan, and then I went and bought the kit, and it's a complete belly pan kit that fits onto this. So I put the whole Golf All-Track belly pan on this, hadn't had an issue. The other thing I did was that I haven't talked about was, you know, you only get a can of goo for your tyre and an inflator for this car if you get a flat tyre. So I actually went out and I bought the spare tyre kit. So if I do get a flat, I can put the donut tyre on now, rather than messing around with slime and an inflator that might not work, especially if you get a split in the sidewall. So they're the only real upgrades I've done, except for the engine stuff. And like I said, this thing is, I think represents the best value for what you can get for a Golf R. It's fast, it's tunable, it's reliable, and I like the look of it. I don't like the look of the new one. Like I said, the lights on the new one look a bit like Simon Cowell, a bit droopy around the eyes there, I guess. And I don't really like the look of it. So this, I think, is the best bet, and the digital display on it is, I think, the one to go for. I do like the dials, but admittedly, you know, I think dials in the Golf tend to show their age. If it was in a Aston Martin, it probably wouldn't, but in the Golf, it definitely shows its age, which is why I would stick to the 7.5 electronic dashboard. As you can see there, just change if you go forwards. It's fairly fast. So, you know, I gotta say, out of everything, it's great. I've got nothing bad to say about this vehicle. It's been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, I did bend a wheel. So it's got the English Town wheels on it. To try and buy a new English Town wheel is kind of expensive. So I just had it repaired, and it's never been an issue. I do like this carbon, I don't know what it is, like almost a carbon weave pattern in the plastic. It's obviously not carbon fibre, but they've given it a nice pattern to make it look very carbon fibre-esque. The only other thing too is you tend to get dust, like all these switches, you get dust inside the switches there, which is, you know, you just got to get the vacuum cleaner on it. You've got some huge door bins. You can put literally 1.5 litre bottles in there. You've got the storage section in here. You've got the sliding, you can slide this backwards and forwards, which was a nice touch, because I do like an armrest there. Yeah, it's a good car. One pet peeve, that high beam light. If you're buying a Golf R, get a 7.5. Great value for money, great car, and honestly, for 99.9% of the time, just as good as the new one. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed this. Over and out for now.